Hey, you believers, non-believers, unaffiliated believers, sort of believers, and even you think I'm a believers. Welcome to the Uncensored Unprofessor, a podcast where we buck the trend and positively confess, yes, there's a God. A show where we pursue godly wisdom and seek after Christ. Glad to have fellow seekers with me today. Undoubtedly, you get e-spam, right? My email account must get 75 to 100 requests for money every dang day. And then, man, oh man, my phone's text message app has been inundated for a good 5 weeks now with bot spam. In those 5 weeks, apparently, I've been awarded several free cell phones. I have numerous packages waiting for me at the post office. I've been issued both bank and sizable government refund checks. I've had my phone bill refunded. If only I'll respond to that claim. I have a juicy big voucher waiting for me at my drugstore, and I applied for a bank loan I forgot about. I've had a few delivery guys come to my front porch with important packages they couldn't leave because I needed to sign for it. Sorry, guys, wish I was here. Who knew I was so popular? Oh, and get this. A good 60% of these text messages, 4 to 5 of them per day, are addressed not to Dr. You, but to Andretta. I do not know how the e-bot thinks to call me Andretta, but that's odd. Oh, and still weirder, I've been getting even more recent text messages naming me as Celagon. Celagon. It's just nuts. I guess I forgot my parents came from the planet Vulcan. Celagon?
That is so funny.
And that biographical text message report goes to my show for you today. Why this era of American history is so remarkable, unprecedented. But first, my wrap up on the concern for objectivity from last show. Both modernism and postmodernism missed the mark. What do I mean? Well, the aim of human knowledge is not perfect objectivity. We don't need perfect detachedness, ice-cold indifference, apathetic application of the law or science or facts. Both modernism with its many variants, not least of which is a brooding nihilism, and now postmodernism with its petulant refusal to consider facts, science, truth, goodness, or beauty, both of them have created a straw man. That's a man made of straw, Jerry. Both of them have created a straw man by attacking objectivity. Postmodernism is angry because A, there is no perfectly objective truth perspective, and B, they say, knowledge is a construct of power, and C, society is constructed of invisible systems of power which need to be deconstructed. But postmodernism's entire premise, objectivity is impossible, that's a red herring. We don't need perfect objectivity to broach the truth. Like I noted before, Michael Polanyi calls the quest for objectivity a second fall. That quest leads to deconstruction. It leads to our deconstruction, the deconstruction of truth, society's disillusion. I'm watching it firsthand. And, oh my goodness, the disillusion of being itself.
You are the gender you choose.
No, instead of objectivity, what the human race needs concerning knowledge are wisdom and excellence. Wisdom, knowing when and how to apply knowledge. Wisdom, a sensitivity to reality, a studied awareness of reality in light of God's character. Wisdom, the application of knowledge coupled with compassion, goodness, truth, humility, courage. And the truth is, you guys, wisdom gets murdered when she's decoupled from the virtues. No wonder the college experience is so vapid. There's no virtue. Wise knowledge is 100 times more valuable than a hyper-studied, hyper-specialist who knows how many angels can dance on the head of a pin. Me? Lord forbid I ever have to stand before a judge, but if I do, I'll want a wise judge, a shrewd judge, a judge who can look at things from many angles. Yes, a judge who knows the law, but a judge who, in wisdom, knows human nature, embodies the fear of the Lord, understands history, understands what works in the long run, understands justice, what's best for a godly society. What the human race needs, wisdom. And then, excellence. Now, I don't want to sound like a flame-throwing preacher, don't want to sound like your dad after he had a bad day at work. But PoMo culture is not even interested in excellence. It views all the qualities and virtues of excellence as the products of white colonial cis bougies. Modernism, again through its cynicism, has mostly given up on excellence. But we don't need objectivity nearly so much as we need excellence. We need a Centers for Disease Control that is excellent, that follows the honest-to-God science, not the paid-for by big pharma science, not the how will this benefit the progressive movement science, not the what will give government bureaucrats the most control science, but excellent, peer-reviewed, open, accessible, public, richly debated and reasoned science. Excellence. And excellence is impossible without a worldview that esteems, promotes, and demands it. And now, sadly, both modernism and postmodernism have choked excellence to death. And we're all paying for that choke. Both secular modernism and now doubly secular postmodernism have forsaken both wisdom and excellence. Christians? Choose to do something every day with a splash of excellence. It's a way to honor the Lord. It's a way to honor the reality of His creation, to honor the quality of hard work. So honor your being as one created in His image, imago Dei. Oh Lord, fire us up with wisdom and excellence. Hey, I encountered this one the other day. Toward the end of our senior year in high school, we were required to take a CPR course. The class used the well-known mannequin victim Resusci Annie to practice. Typical of most models, this Resusci Annie was only a torso, and that allowed for storage in a carrying case. Well, the class went off in groups to practice. As instructed, one of my classmates gently shook the doll and asked, "Hey, Annie, are you all right?" He then put his ear over the mannequin's mouth to listen for breathing. Suddenly, he turned to the instructor and exclaimed, "She said she can't feel her legs." Thank you, Mikey's funnies. Oh, excellence and wisdom. Well, that and a sense of humor. Okay, American culture and this historical moment. Despite the apathy of most of the church, oh, Holy Spirit, shake and wake your slumbering church. Call your faithful remnant to your mission. Despite the apathy of most of the church, we're living in unprecedented days. Since Miss Rona danced onto the floor in February 2020, our nation has been transformed. Not only did we have a federal election conducted under historically dubious circumstances, we've endured a viral outbreak that has eagerly been used by governmental slotch and big tech to variously keep us attending church, keep our kids from attending school, force us to wear masks not only out in public but ostensibly also in the privacy of our own cars and homes. They've used all this to track our gadgets, URL numbers, to censor what we can and can't say on our phones and computers. Me? Yeah, I've become intentional now about not saying something about the slotchy governmental handling of the C-19 reporting on my social media accounts. It has worked. I'm now policing myself. And that's exactly how Marxist states have worked elsewhere. Public pressure leads to private self-censorship. Me? I'm slow to say a federal politician's name during one of my private phone calls. We now know they are listening to our every word. And now, with increasing coercion, Americans are being required, to get vaccinated. Wait, is it a vaccine or just a treatment? I don't know. If it doesn't make it so you no longer have to mask up or stop the spread of the virus, we should hardly call it a vaccine. But more and more we're being required to get vaccinated or lose our ability to fly on planes, eat in public, shop, go to school, attend sporting events and concerts and theaters, and even lose our jobs. But that's not the worst of it. No. All of the aforementioned are being used by the media and government and universities and churches to divide us. Never before have our institutions been so strategically divisive, so decidedly and intentionally splitting apart friendships. Rebarchek, I knew you to be a warm and caring professor, but now you won't affirm BLM, you hateful racist? Our institutions are ruining our relationships, poisoning reputations, causing rancorous division between family members. It's really ugly, and, of course, it's sad. This is all massively reshaping daily life. It's unprecedented. There's a little discussed massive migration pattern at work in the USA that stems directly from all this divisiveness. And no, I'm not talking here about the 2 million illegal immigrants who are crossing our southern border now in 2021. They aren't required to have a J&J Fauci ouchie before they walk in, but Congress is being fined for not wearing masks in the Capitol? Salvador Dali-esque. Millions are moving from one state to another to escape the madness. It's a significant reason why we finally had to leave the Golden State over 4 years ago. Migration patterns. Red states are getting redder, blue states bluer. Tensions are escalating, the level of fear is soaring. And it has all happened like a bullet. But is that true? Do we merely emphasize the changes at work in our own lifetime? Isn't it just the case that each successive generation thinks it is living in the era of the most dramatic change? I mean, consider these society-altering discoveries. Archimedes, back in the 3rd century BC, designed the corkscrew water pump. Water accessibility skyrocketed. Wells could be tapped. Water could be transported like never before. Did you ever carry an orange Homer bucket full of water across your yard? I just carried one the other day to water a few trees. Pretty heavy. Water's heavy. Imagine hauling water across a mile each day just for basic needs. That's how much of the human race lived for most of history. It's also why major cities and towns were originally settled along a river, near a lake. The Chinese monk Xing made the first mechanical clock in 723, and the existence of the clock reshaped society. People knew more precisely when to gather, when to open their shops, when to complete chores. A more acute awareness of time made societies more pragmatic, industrious, more efficient. Efficiency is an oft unrecognized blessing.
Wait, are those CDC numbers accurate? What do I do now?
Or in 1821, Michael Faraday built the first electric motor. Can you even imagine life today without electric motors? Not just automobiles, but blenders, garbage disposals, heaters, air conditioners, hair dryers, cleaning vacuums, washers and dryers, refrigerators. The list could be long. Truly, the electric motor has made life far more economic, immediate, easy versus what humans endured for millennia on end. But did motors frazzle friendships? Did motors cause children on a mass scale to hate their biology? Or in 1876, Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone. Over the next few decades, millions of people were suddenly able to talk to one another from hundreds of miles away. What a blessing! What an aid to flourish! Medical information was quickly shared. Ideas could be immediately shared. Possibilities discussed. Strategies engaged. Again, the telephone sped up the level of societal engagement, productivity, communication. It enabled long-distance relationship with family and loved ones. Beautiful. Or in the same 19th century, we saw the development of the steam engine. It sped up travel. It helped millions gain access to products and food from all over the nation. But did the steam engine cause people to loathe one another? I mean, sure, undoubtedly there was some jealousy and covetousness from those who couldn't afford to hop on a steam engine, but philosophically, did steam engines ruin friendships, poison reputations? Or here's one I've mentioned in an earlier show. Anesthesia. Praise God for anesthesia. Me, I've gone under the surgeon's knife some dozen times, and I'm so grateful I wasn't biting down on a 9-millimeter bullet while they removed my gallbladder. Profoundly thankful I wasn't trying to endure back surgery with only a shot of Jack Daniels to soothe my killer pain. What a blessing, anesthesia! Major ailments can be remedied by the surgical blade, all the while the patient is unconscious under anesthesia. Or here's one, penicillin in 1928. Alexander Fleming pushed out the average human mortality rate by what? Decades with penicillin? You no longer had to get your leg amputated when you stepped on a rusty nail? Man, across my life, I've stepped on a couple rusty nails. You no longer had to endure the sobbing and groaning of your baby when she got an ear infection? Just a little penicillin deals with so many infections? Cool. Or here's one goodness, the television. I mean, true, the TV does render us more stupid, and that's actually a proven fact. And television dramatically reshaped the way we spend countless hours of our free time, but you'd be hard-pressed to argue at an axiological level that TV has destroyed society. Yes, parents may have gotten upset with their children. Turn those cartoons off and get out of the house. Or wives with their husbands. Oh dear, another football game? And me, I do think TV has numbed our imaginations. Imaginations need words. And TV just doesn't promote the building of vocabulary. But me, I don't believe the ubiquitous presence of TV did to society what we are enduring now. All those developments remind me of a Seinfeld line. Pretty much everything reminds me of a Seinfeld show line. But Kramer asked Jerry, do you think by the year 2000 people will be able to breathe underwater? Jerry responds, some of us. No, today we are being strategically split apart. What caused it? My answer? Not a device. Not a discovery. Nope. This fault line has not been caused by a new discovery or a brand new insight. What is driving the wedge? What's severing the split? I'll get to that in a hot minute. But first, I emoji. Love it when folks help promote this thinking person's show. And it's so easy. Just copy and paste a URL link from the UU into your social media post. Slam bam, dunzo. Unfriends who've recently done just that: Margaret H., Victor S., and Daniel F. Thank you sincerely. Never has society been so speed of light reshaped in these mere 17 months. What has caused this? Information, ideas, info. Now, hard scientists know that information runs the universe. Plant life is coded with information that makes each specific plant, even inside different plant families, its own unique entity. The gorgeous yellow and black American goldfinch I saw on my wife's sunflower last week, specifically and uniquely coded by information. Life is inebriated with information. The philosophers of science have ignored and depressed that reality for a generation or more now. They know that information requires a coder, a designer, a genius, a communicator. In the beginning was the Word. And those philosophers of science don't, with all the energy in their hearts, want to admit there's a coder, a genius before and beneath all of life. That'd be too moralizing. That would imply life has a purpose. That would imply life is going somewhere. And all of that, it's just too much for those who want to be their own gods, who want to embrace an empty universe. But nevertheless, life is comprised of information, and social life is just the same. Info is the basis, the glue that holds us together. Unless not. My extended family is in tatters now, people calling other people racist and misogynist because of misinformation. Or I've had a few truly just sweetheart former students contact me on Facebook and tell me I'm a racist because I've criticized BLM. What led to their doing that? Slanted information. You, if you've said anything, one way or the other, across these last 19 months, you've lost friends. You said something about the election seeming strange, suspicious. Angry friends called you out about that. You expressed discomfort in your church small group about the pastor's critical race theory affirming sermon. You weren't invited to that next spontaneous coffee klatch. Or the CDC? Crikey! Every 2 weeks, does it even take that long? The CDC issues yet another edict. This time, put your mask on upside down with the tag facing out. Yes, we realize masks didn't work over the last year, but we know it'll work this time. And then millions of sheeple adapt their lives to that bogus information. The speed of information is what is unprecedented here in human history. And yeah, I suppose we could say it's been the computer, the iPad, laptop, e-phone, Apple Watch, the computer in your car's dash. But it's less the device than it has been what it conveys. Information. Information that involves quick uptake, right? Compared to today, for millennia, ideas spread slowly. One group had a lucky fellow intuitively stumble across an idea. What if I rounded the edges of that piece of stone? Could it more easily roll across the terrain? Other groups would see his invention and begin implementing it where they lived. Another group gave birth to an odd, somewhat socially awkward girl who came up with the idea for making utensils out of bronze, iron, copper. And that idea spread. Lives were changed. Or, in my own academic world, a philosopher would propose that the universe is not, in fact, a random series of collisions, but an intentionally reasoned organism. And then his disciples would teach their disciples, would teach their disciples, and the values and priorities of entire cultures would be slowly revamped. But information spread slowly all across human history. Changes rolled out like syrup, sludge, slow. Today, a 13-year-old in Singapore can look at his phone and observe things his grandparents never imagined. An 11-year-old only child in Madagascar can listen to a newscast that causes him to fear for his life. People are dying of an airborne disease? And because he's already a loner, he may live the rest of his life characterized by agoraphobia, the fear of being in public. He listened to fear-porned information. And it's not just that information is being spread at heretofore unprecedented speed, right? No. Information is being tracked. Aldous Huxley and in his wake George Orwell, both from early in the 20th century, saw the day, Brave New World, 1984, they saw the day when information would be tracked, they imagined, by governmental social engineers. But neither of them foresaw private corporations being the agencies to do that. Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and Google and are all gathering your information, your likes, your interests, your shopping purchases. That is all being tracked and gathered and sold by corporate social engineers. And I promise you, the nation, no, the whole planet, is being sorted and filed by the information accessed and shared. We're all being watched. I mean, it's so weird to me when something pops up in my e-feed that I was just talking or texting or posting about. I've been thinking about getting a new coffee pot. Boink. Up pops an ad in my e-feed about the newest, bestest coffee maker. Information is being tracked and sold. Facebook. Facebook has a feature I just saw yesterday on my phone. You get to confirm or reject possible Facebook friends, right? Usually they're friends of distant friends. And now you can give Facebook info on why you're rejecting them. Did they say something racist? Hateful? Facebook's social engineering department positively wants still more information, even if it's fabricated. Misinformation? Facebook will then roll that into a person's personality profile database. Me? My UU Facebook page now has a warning across each post. This page posts about COVID. For the Facebook approved truth about COVID, go to this link. How? How long will it take before Facebook has a warning across each post? This page posts about truth, about God, about morality, about religion. For the truth about God, go to the following link. What should you think about morality? Go to the Facebook pre-approved link at www.moralrelativism.com. Or, this page posts about politics. For the political truth, go to the following Marquee Z approved website. It's getting weird, creepy, precisely because data is tracked and stacked. And you know this, my beautiful listener, but the governmental ability to track, listen, collate, codify information was greatly expanded following the 9/11 Trade Towers attack. The feds reasoned, thank you, not George Bush. The feds reasoned that they needed to listen to everything, track and assess everything in order to prevent another big terrorist attack. But what's happened? They're listening to all of us. They're tracking our data. But the Biden administration is positively telling us that the greatest threat to life are the extremists. That is, American citizens, conservatives especially, those who don't toe the progressive company line, the extremists who live among us. They are being monitored. They're being tracked. Their information is being gathered by agencies, bots, algorithms, watchers. Now you're filed into as yet invisible categories ranging from safe to dangerous. And I wonder, how can that not increase suspicion of neighbors? How does that not increase fear about strangers? Oh, mercy, this is so insidious. It's corroding trust for all our institutions. Gosh, I wonder, is that possibly why the CDC's weekly edicts are confused and confusing? Is it possible they're so far ahead on the shatter the trust game? After all, crisis leads to increased governmental power. Is it possible this is an intentional ruin the basic trust game? That they're intentionally rechanging their info? And I know, that's so sinister. It's cray-cray to even wonder such out loud. But who is so blasted incompetent with that much power to keep the population in constant confusion? Unless it is to keep us constantly confused. I don't know. What a horrible thing to even muse.
The new epsilon, gamma, sigma, Zeta variant has appeared in a southern Louisiana county. We urge you to roll up to your local college campus and get the 9th booster shot of Moderna's "This will finally slow the spread" vaccine.
This is nuts. And again, believe me, I get it. I'm aware that I sound like a whack job for even uttering this today, but 19 months ago, if I told you this is what would eventuate from the election and the Rona slotch cluster, you would have laughed at me for being a certifiable apocalyptic nut job. The other day I told a friend, me? I grew up hearing itinerant evangelists at our church. They'd roll in, preach sermons on the end times. They'd put their charts up about Russia and Israel across the sanctuary platform. They'd warn us about the Antichrist and the mark of the beast and societal meltdown. And those evangelists, they could have never have imagined how fast and how surreal it has become in just 19 months short time. The government is cooperating with big tech companies to track our every choice, our every post. I'm living in a screwy Salvador Dali painting. It's so weird. And me? I've been saying to my wife for months that I just have to get off of Facebook. Now, doing that'll devastate the reach of my podcast. It might even bring an end to my show. Oh, the churches that are using Facebook to economically stay alive, they are playing with white-hot fire. But my posts about my show topics are being collated by those who loathe Christianity and Christian values and an openly Christian epistemology. I mean, it's right there in Facebook's terms and conditions. Facebook not only has the rights to all the images you upload onto the platform, but it can also sell public profile data on, that is, like a digital dossier. It can sell public profile data to its partners. I want and don't want to leave Facebook behind, right? I hate that they're watching me. But I enjoy seeing my friends post about your new baby, your sweet vacation to wherever, your life's changes, your latest painting. It's fun to stay in touch. And it's just great to share prayer requests with hundreds. But Facebook and Twitter and Google and are collecting data. And that data will be given to, sold to, taken by the federal government. Millions could be targeted for Lord knows what kinds of censorship because we liked funny political memes. Extremists. If I had a full-time job, I might have that threatened because I checked the warm heart hug emoji on a joke about Joe Biden's mental challenges. Extremist! It's heading in that direction at bullet speed. Information. All that, and pastors by the 10,000s are saying not one word about the unprecedented societal meltdown that is at hand. Are they frightened? Or, gosh, even more of a sucker punch? Are they complicit? Are they tacitly approving? Do they like the move away from traditional Christianity? Or do they think this is merely a little political hiccup? My own denomination, the Assemblies of God, is in full-blown ostrich mode. They issue little articles in their quarterly ministers magazine that lightly touch upon social issues, but they never go deep. Never take bold leadership. Never take a courageous stand against the cultural tide of postmodern theory. The largest Pentecostal denomination in the world is in full-blown ostrich mode. Their silence is deafening. Hey, if your denomination, your pastor is taking a stand, pushing back, exercising some foresight, offering its congregants some Christian courage, I'd love to hear about it. Email me at uncensoredunprofessor@gmail.com because I want to get in touch with pastors and Christian leaders who are speaking up. I'd even consider possible interviews with them. Lord, help us. God, help us. The Lord strengthen you and be with you and fire you up and give you courage and wisdom and motivate your excellence, my good listener. Thank you so much for listening today. Please go now and turn your beautiful God-given brains on, everybody.